Good evening and welcome to tonight's Zoning Board of Appeals virtual meeting. Per Executive Order 202.28 by the Governor of the State of New York, the town of Smithtown is required to continue hosting all public meetings, either in person, in which case we must prohibit physical public contact, or public meetings can be held remotely via conference call or similar service. Additionally, per the executive order, the town continues to live stream, record, and transcribe each meeting. As a reminder for any resident wishing to view tonight's meeting, you can do so by clicking on the agendas and meeting button on the homepage of the town website at www.smithtownnewyork.gov. You are all here tonight seeking relief from the Smithtown zoning ordinance, and it's our job to try to help you achieve the relief you are requesting whenever possible. It's up to you to provide this board with precise, accurate information so we can make a decision based on the facts that you present here tonight. This board must consider the 5 area variance considerations in order to render a decision, and they are as follows. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the variance. Number 2, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. Number 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. Number 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the board, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the variance. Procedures for tonight's meeting. Cases will be called in the order they are advertised. After your case is announced by Mr. Donadio, the moderator will connect you to the meeting so you can present your case to the board. Once you have completed your presentation, if anyone on the board or in the planning department has any questions, they will be asked. Then any interested party who would like to speak on this case will be given one opportunity to do so. Then the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to any questions or concerns, after which the case will be closed. Once the public hearing is closed, no further information will be accepted concerning the case. You can contact the planning department after 12 p.m. tomorrow for the status of your case. We do have one adjournment tonight, and that is case number 18347, La Familia. That has been adjourned to September 14th. We also have a withdrawal, which is case number 18461, VEA 181st Realty Corporation. And some people refer to it as the loss on Maple and Main. That request has been withdrawn. All right, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first case on the agenda is case number 18500, Jason Goodman, 48 Timber Ridge Drive, Comac. The location of the property is the north side of Timber Ridge Drive, 693 feet west of Annandale Road. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum front yard from 45 feet to 43 feet for a proposed 66 square foot front portico.
Can I have the applicant, please?
This is Jason Goodman.
Okay. Lauren?
Hi, this is Lauren Goodman.
Do we have the Goodmans?
Yeah, we're here.
Hi, yes, this is Lauren and Jason.
Okay, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay, would you like to tell us why you need your variance?
Excuse me, Chair. I'm Todd O'Connell. I will be presenting for them.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right, the Goodmans, would you like Mr. O'Connell to speak on your behalf?
Yes.
Okay, fine, thank you. Todd, could you give your name and address, please?
Absolutely. My name for the record is Todd O'Connell, architect doing business at 1200 Veterans Highway, Hauppauge, New York, architect for the Goodmans, who are present with us this evening. Thanks again, Chair, members of the board. This is a fairly simple request that we're asking for here. The Goodmans would like to put a portico on the front of their house, give them a little more protection and as they come into the front door. And also to, give the house a little more curb appeal. So we feel it's really a de minimis request that we're looking for. It's not going to have any undesirable change to the neighborhood. In fact, we feel it's really just going to make the home a little more pleasant and add to the character of the neighborhood. There's really, no practical way to get a nicer overhang in front of the door. Right now it's, you get a driving rain, and, the house sits where it is. So coming forward with a portico overhang is the only practical solution. Being that it's an open portico, we don't feel the request is substantial. This is a similar variance that's been before the board on many occasions. There's really no other way to accomplish their goal. There will be no adverse effect by them building this portico. And, again, we didn't put the house where it is. It's a proposed variance, so we don't feel it's a self-created one. Of course, if we were building this house from scratch, we would have tried to set the home back a little further. But unfortunately, this is the only way that we could accomplish the Goodmans' goal. And obviously, the benefit achieved by the Goodmans will far outweigh any detriment to the surrounding neighbors. So that would conclude my case. And if you have any questions, please, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the board who has any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No question. Planning, any questions?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
Chairman, I don't have anyone with their hands raised. I'll remind the public at this time to utilize the raise hand function if you'd like to speak regarding a specific application. If you can't locate the raise hand button, you can just put your name in the chat and the application you would wish to speak on, and I will call you in the order that your name was received. Thank you.
Okay. With that said, can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Okay.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18509, James and Vita McIntosh, 26 Fernwood Drive, Comac. The location of the property, the west side of Fernwood Drive, 124 feet north of Gannett Drive. The property is zoned R15. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum side yard from 16 feet to 5 feet, to reduce the total side yards from 34 feet to 23 feet, to permit an accessory structure in the required front and side yards for a proposed 480 square foot detached garage.
Good evening. Can I have the applicant, please?
Yes, I am Vita McIntosh. Good evening.
Good evening. Are you going to present the case yourself?
No, our contractor is Beta Brothers. His name is Frank. What's his last?
Frank Beta, he should be on.
Yes, I'm on.
You're here, Frank?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Could you state your name, spell your last name so we get it correct for the record,
Okay.
and give your address, please?
Okay, it's Frank Beta. Last name is B-E-T-A, 20 Seaford Avenue, Mastic, New York.
Okay. Thank you.
What I did do was I sent pictures in. I don't know if you have them available. And I took a picture of the immediate neighbor. I actually built that garage about 8 years ago, and I'm sure Ed, his name is Ed, Mr. Korf. I don't know if he still lives there, but
Yes.
Does he?
Yes.
He went for a variance. He did all his paperwork back then for his, and I believe he left about 8 foot from the fence to the garage, detached garage, and did pull it a little bit forward. I went 2 houses down on number 20, which is photo number 2, and I show an open gazebo, which is 2 foot from the fence line on the left side of the house. And on the other side of the house, he has about 6 foot, which is photo number 3, to the fence line. And he did pull that garage forward of the house. Both garages, one garage has 2 7x8 doors, and the second one has a 16-foot door. And I believe that garage is like 18 to 20 feet. And they're both within the 14 foot in height, which this one we're asking for 14 foot, or we're not going to exceed 14 feet.
Okay.
We pulled the garage 5 foot forward to the rear of the house because there's a pool in the back corner, and it's been there for a while, and you know, they would like to leave it there. And you know, that basically that's the whole thing.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could comment, and the applicant, Vita McIntosh, that's my mother, if you want to give me permission to
I do. I give you
comment. I'm her
permission.
son, John McIntosh, who also resides at 26 Fernwood Drive in Comac.
Okay.
And to answer the question to why we're asking for this variance and why we are wanting to build this structure is obviously we need some extra storage, and we'd like a place to park the cars. It is a multi-generational household where my parents do live here. I live here with my family, and you know, in the weather, it is more convenient for them to be able to store their car somewhere that is not exposed. So it makes it a little bit easier for them, and it gives us a lot more extra storage. So like Mr. Beta was explaining, we're really not seeking anything that's out of the ordinary that would change the look of the neighborhood. It is something that I feel, you know, it's definitely going to add to the value of the property, which would bring the property values in the neighborhood up. So that's really the reasons why we're seeking to do this and seeking approval.
Mm-hmm. We were at your house, Mr. Donadio and myself, yesterday, and we were looking at it, and we also looked at the other houses that were referenced. Mm-hmm. And it looks as if the other homes, the distance from the property line were 10 feet. This is half of that.
Correct. And the reason why we're asking for less of a distance than our neighbors have is because they created that distance so they're boaters, so they could store their boats next to their sheds. We don't really have use for the side of the garage that would be there. So we'd rather enjoy the space in the backyard, you know, to have extra space in the main backyard than have it, you know, not really be usable for us on the other side. That's why we were asking for the 5 feet. I mean, if we had to accommodate and move to the 10 feet, we could. But we were seeking permission to gain some more space in the main section of the backyard by going to 5 feet.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone on the board who has any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Planning?
Mr. Chairman, I did some quick research on the 2 homes that Mr. Beta had mentioned. I believe the addresses are 18 and 24 Fernwood. They were both prior BZA applications. I believe number 18 was granted a side yard setback of 11 feet, and number 24, which I believe is Mr. McIntosh's next door neighbor, was granted a side yard setback of 10 feet. Therefore, planning would recommend that the board follow previous approvals and not reduce the side yard setback to less than 10 feet.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
No, Chairman.
Nope. Could I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 5-0. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18510, the Crushed Olive of Wading River, Inc. 10-2020 Jericho Turnpike, Comac. The location of the property, the south side of Jericho Turnpike, 253 feet east of Walter Court. The property is zoned CB. The applicant is requesting a variance to increase the maximum height of a wall sign from 15 feet to 23 feet.
Hello, can I have the applicant, please?
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe the attorney is on the call. I'm not seeing him. Is there another name that I can look up here?
Mr. Tremarco's name is on the application as the contact person.
Yeah,
This is
he's
Matt from Graphics. I got a call from Vinny that he's under the wrong name. Do you have a Claire in the waiting room?
Claire. All right, I got him. You just gotta hit the unmute button. I just sent him a message. Give him a second to click on the unmute button.
Okay.
Mr. Tremarco, if you can hear us, I sent you a notification to hit the unmute button. On the lower left-hand screen, it looks like a microphone. Here we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Tremarco.
Hang on, he hit the mute button again. Give him a second. Go ahead and hit that microphone one more time, Mr. Tremarco. Mr. Tremarco, if you can hear us, you clicked on the mute button again. You have to hit the microphone button on the lower left.
I'm doing it.
There you go.
Okay. I'm not going to keep my hands away from this.
Good
laptop.
idea. Don't touch anything.
I won't. I'm sorry for the delay. Anyway, we submitted affidavits of posting and mailing to the planning department this afternoon. As the board well knows, this application is contained in the Mayfair Shopping Center. It used to be Claire's Jewelry, and I think we did a variance for Claire's, about 10 years ago. Anyway, it's now going to be that particular store, the Crushed Olive. And if you look at the picture that's put up on the screen right now, it's even with the barber shop right next door. And you can see the way the shopping center is designed, there are different heights and different parapet walls. To the right, you'll see GameStop, and that's lower. And to the left, it seems to be a gable roof with H&R Block. Also, there's an awning right underneath both the Crushed Olive proposed sign and the barber shop. So this would be the only place that we could put the sign at all. And it's similar to shopping center signs throughout the Mayfair Shopping Center. The signs are up and down at different heights, and I think that's what makes it different and pleasing to the eye. The sign will be in line, as I said, with the barbershop sign. The height has to exceed 15 feet due to the awning construction, as you can see right underneath. And it has no adverse effect on the environment. It's a sign, period. The height variance is needed, as we said, because of the awning sign and because the parapet wall is higher in those particular two stores as compared to the GameStop. So we ask the board for its favorable consideration. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Is there anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that like to be heard on this application?
No, Chairman.
No. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Tramarko. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good night.
The next application on the agenda is case number 18511, Kevin Galvin, 185 Old Willets Path, Smithtown. The location of the property, the east side of Old Willets Path, 772 feet south of Croft Lane. The property is zoned R43. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum side yard from 24 feet to 10 feet, to reduce total side yards from 60 feet to 24 feet, for a proposed 600 square foot steel accessory structure.
Can I have the applicant, please?
Yes, I'm right here, Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Kevin. Are you going to present the case yourself?
Yes, I am.
Okay, fine.
Yes, I'm looking to erect this structure. It's 20 by 30 steel structure. The reason why I want to put it where it is, it's near the barn. And also, if I put it back in the rear 100 feet of the property, which would be allowed, 10 feet off the side yard and 10 feet off the backyard, I feel it would incur an unsightly scene to my neighbor behind me, the Judsons on Croft. As it is now, where I'm going to propose to put the structure is almost 500 feet from the 400 feet from the Judsons. It also sits over 255 feet from the street of Old Willets Path. The structure is also being used so I can store machinery in it, materials like we have horses on the property, like to put the barn in it, like to put some of the implements that I have for put the tractor in it, and some of the implements that I have for the tractor inside, along with the bedding that I use for the horses to get it out of the weather, to keep it more dry, and also to keep it from outside from being seen by the neighbors. That's why I asked for this application.
Okay. Is there anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Planning?
Just a couple of comments for you, Mr. Chairman. So the request to reduce the minimum side yard to 10 feet would be a 58% reduction in the minimum requirement. The requirement to reduce the total side yards to 24 feet would be a 60% reduction in the minimum requirement. And Matt, if you could go to the survey, please. If you look at the survey, the applicant has approximately 48 feet between his side yard and his barn. The structure appears to be approximately 20 feet in width. If you deduct the 20 feet of width of the structure from the 48 feet of setback, that leaves you with 28 feet. If the applicant were to set back the steel structure approximately 10 feet from the barn, which he doesn't have to, he can actually put it right up to it if he wanted, but let's just say at minimum 10-foot setback, that would still give him an 18-foot side yard, which would be a considerably smaller reduction of the minimum requirement. That's all.
Would that work for you, Kevin?
Yes.
It would? Okay,
You want to move the structure next to the barn?
move it closer to the barn. Instead of 10 feet off the property line, I think, Blaze, we said 18 feet?
18 feet, yes.
Just an extra
Okay.
8 feet.
You got it. Not a
Good.
problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
No, Chairman.
Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Good night, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have a good evening. Thank you, board.
You do the same.
Yes, let's see. Okay.
Blaze, before you read the next one,
Yes.
I think we're gonna have quite a bit of people wanting to speak on this. I just want to go over the procedures again. The applicant will present his case, after which anybody on the board or in the planning department has any questions, they will be asked. Then it will be opened up to anybody in the audience that would like to speak. Everybody will get a chance to speak. You'll get one chance, okay? When everyone is done, the applicant will come back to answer their concerns. Once that's done, we'll close the application. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Blaze.
All righty. The next case on the agenda is case number 18512, Donald Saslow, 826 Middle Country Road, St. James. The location of the property is the northeast corner of Middle Country Road and Ester Avenue. The property is zoned WSI. The applicant is requesting variances to increase the size of a ground sign from 40 square feet to 150 square feet for a proposed 150 square foot Mazda ground sign, to increase the number of ground signs from 1 to 4.
Okay, good evening. Can I have the applicant, please?
Good evening, Christina Bravin, Morano Expediting.
Okay, did you submit all the necessary paperwork?
Yes, I did. We have the power of attorney.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Okay, go ahead.
Could you spell your last name, please?
Yes, it's B as in boy, R-A-V-I-N.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're requesting permission to install a 13-foot wide by 11-foot high ground sign. As you mentioned, increasing the allowable size of a ground sign from 40 square feet to 150 square feet. And also requesting permission to have a number of ground signs from 1 to 4. So they did have an existing ground sign in the same location as we're proposing. As you can see on the screen here, they proposed is highlighted in yellow. It was removed. It contained both the Mitsubishi logo and the Mazda logo. It was larger and it was taller. So the proposal is to, there we go, we have it on the screen now, to install a monument sign only having the Mazda logo and the new design lettering. So as you can see, the actual wording itself is contained in a small area towards the top. As you are aware, we were before the board back in 2019 when the dealership underwent all the renovations via corporate, and they changed the design of the dealership and the signage. We did have variance on a few sign requests back then. At this point, this was the only sign that has not been replaced and updated. So the proposed location, as I said, is right within a few feet of this existing or pre-existing one that was recently removed. And they're just going to build a new foundation for it, which is why they can't put it in the exact spot. It just has to be a couple of feet over. It does not obstruct the view from the road. It's set back well within the required setback. And I have the pictures and the drawings of the sign. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Do you have is there a site plan that shows the additional ground signs going from 1 to 4, the location of all of them?
So the proposed, as you can see, is highlighted there in yellow.
Right.
The one directly above that was removed. And the other signs were located on Ester. That was last year we did that application, I believe. Excuse me, 2019 when that application was done. That was at the entrance.
All right. Well, that's the service sign and,
Correct.
yeah, okay. All right, fine. Is there anyone on the board that had any questions on this application?
No question. Oh, thank you.
Planning?
Just a couple of comments, Mr. Chairman. Matt, if we could find a photograph that shows the existing Mazda sign on Middle Country. Okay, thank you, right there. So I just want to point out to the board that currently at this location, there are 3 existing ground signs, one of which you can see in these photos is the existing Mazda sign, which I don't have the exact number, but I believe the sign by itself is at least 100 square feet. Adding a second sign along Middle Country Road, that would be an additional 150 square feet, is a substantial amount of signage along the frontage of this property on Middle Country Road. Additionally, 4 ground signs is 4 times the limit that any business or any company is permitted to have on site. Planning does not support a sign of that size and would recommend that the sign be denied. Additionally, we did receive some correspondence from some of the adjoining or adjacent neighbors to the north along Ester Avenue, and they did send us a few photos of the current site conditions along Ester Avenue. Matt, if you could find those photos, please. So as you can see in this photo, there appears to be a tremendous amount of on-street parking. I don't know if this is employees of Mazda or if this is customer cars, but there is cars parked along the side street on Ester Avenue every day. If we could go to the next photo. You can go back to the one that you were just at. The applicant, when they came before the Board of Site Plan Review, I believe it was about 2 years ago, they were required to install a 4-foot fence along the front yard along Ester Avenue because the fence would be too close to the front property line. It could not be 6 feet. It was limited to 4 feet. However, the applicant was required to do a substantial amount of landscaping, planting of shrubs, evergreens, what have you, which has not as of yet been done. So we wanted to point this out to the board and let them be aware of the current site conditions, the concerns to the neighbors on Ester Avenue, and to the substantial amount of signage that the site already has.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to be heard on this application?
Yes, Chairman. I'm going to call on Chloe Almeida. I think I pronounced her name right. She has 2 other individuals on the computer with her. And just when you get on, Chloe, just introduce yourself, spell your name, and also include your address.
Okay, Hello, my name is Chloe Almeida, C-H-L-O-E. Last name is A-L-M-E-I-D-A. I reside at 118 Ester Avenue, St. James, New York.
Okay. Excuse me,
Yes.
Chloe, are there additional people with you? Are they going to speak?
They would like to speak, yes.
Could they introduce themselves now?
Absolutely, one moment.
And the same thing, introduce yourself, spell your last name, give the address, please, for the record.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Irene Almeida, I-R-E-N-E, last name Almeida, A-L-M-E-I-D-A. I also reside at 118 Ester Avenue, St. James.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Donna Robinson, D-O-N-N-A-R-O-B-I-N-S-O-N. I reside at 119 Ester Avenue, St. James.
Okay, Donna, thank you.
Hi. Yes.
We'd like to start.
My name is Maria de Michiel. I live at
No, wait.
Yeah.
Yes.
I live at 120 Ester Avenue in St. James. I'm probably the closest to the dealership.
I need a spelling, please, of your name.
It's Demichiel, D. Michiel,
Thank you.
at 120 Ester Avenue, St. James.
Okay, who's going to start? Chloe?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello. Hi. So I have a few concerns. First is I know that they said that it would not be obstructing view, but you know, living on the corner of Ester my entire life, I can see that big sign would definitely be an issue, as we already have issues with being able to see past the corner with them dropping off vehicles and them having vehicles parked, constantly. We do have safety concerns as well. I know you guys mentioned the 2019 construction that has gone on, and we were assured that these cars would no longer be parked in front of our homes. But we constantly have employees flying in and out of our own private driveways, making U-turns to go back down towards Middle Country Road. I have 2 young children, and I have to be concerned that they could possibly get hit if they were riding their bike on my driveway. We can't, walking down the block and riding bicycles, that's not safe for us or an option, because they're constantly flying up and down the road testing their vehicles. We have people parking in front of our windows. My son is fully remote because we are high risk, and we can't even open the windows or blinds in our home because we have people hanging out in front of their vehicles on their breaks, smoking cigarettes or eating their lunches and hanging out, and it's quite disturbing. I'm gonna have the next person speak. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Irene Almeida. Good evening. I just wanted to address some of the issues that the young lady spoke on behalf of Mr. Saslow. As regarding to the previous sign that we were there, I believe over a year ago, visiting that request, and I was very happy that the town did not and had actually the other signs removed. She showed on one of the pictures that the sign that was erected prior, that one we couldn't even make a left, as my daughter has explained. So adding additional signage is a little bit, to me, ridiculous. I agree with the board member who, from the planning department, I couldn't have stated anything better than how he did. We were all here in this room, very happy. Obviously silent, we were cheering, because he did explain exactly how we feel living here. We pay high taxes, and it's our private home. I'm assuming Mr. Saslow would not like it in his Brookville home to look at that and deal with that every day. When I have company, there are times where the overflow from the surrounding businesses, not only him. We have a funeral home that went up, the St. James Funeral Home that went up a few years back. We have on the opposite corner of the Mazda dealer, we have a Villa Sorrento restaurant. And then we have newly to the neighborhood, one of the buildings to the right of, section of a few stores is the CrossFit. Now we have those runners, and when they come down the block, there's like 50 of them running. And then you got the other 50 that went ahead coming back. It almost takes us about 5 to 10 minutes to back out of our driveways. We're concerned about this with the cars consistently. As my daughter stated, my grandchildren, I used to be able to ride. Everybody in the neighborhood would say, oh, you guys look like 5 ducklings. My husband, my 3 children, and I in the back, we would ride bike beautifully in this neighborhood. And that's one of the biggest things we love about it. We've been here for over 30 years. And now I can't do that with my grandchildren. It's very scary. And there's really no reason for it. I believe on one of the prior meetings that we had, one of the members of the board described that he was totally against this from the beginning, to have that service entrance put in our side of the road. It should have been on the east side of the building and basically have an entrance like the funeral home does there. These are things that, when I hope that in the future that when things get decided, they take into account the overflow. When you say something for a business, oh, yeah, let's put more signs, we can have an accident. Someone can get killed. I happen to, unfortunately, have a daughter who was in a car accident over 7 years ago and suffered severe traumatic brain injury. I'm going to say this to you. She's on medication to help her to go to sleep, to relax herself. And we did have an issue with the lights from that dealer. I will say, and I do applaud the safety department who had him within 2 weeks lower all those lights. But again, this with the lights, this with the signs, I lost a day of work. I have been affected by COVID financially. It really isn't right to have to keep readdressing this because tomorrow he doesn't want to put it 20 feet from the curb. He wants to put it 30 feet. So now because it's a new location, we all have to take off of work. He is very visible. I can tell you because I just drove and looked at it this evening again. And he has the nice, beautiful big window that you can see the second floor car there. It's very visible whether you're coming eastbound, westbound. And like I've stated in my email, which I'm sure you all have in front of you, anyone knowing, they know where the Mazda dealer is. It's not like sometimes when we all drive, as we all know, to shop for a car, if there's several dealerships, you kind of got to slow down. You're like, oh, is this entrance to this one? Is this entrance to this one? Not with the Mazda. He is specifically there on the corner by himself. And I don't see at all any reason for another sign or any other signs. And, I'm glad we did address some of the issues concerning the visibility and the landscaping or lack thereof. And I appreciate that. I guess that's it. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you. Who's next?
Hi, it's Donna Robinson. I've only been living on Ester Avenue for a little over a year. I moved from another area of St. James to Ester Avenue, and I picked St. James because of the beautiful town we live in. My main concern when I bought the house, as much as I love the house, my main concern was the Mazda dealer next door to me. It is directly adjacent to me. But I have to say that in the beginning, a year ago when COVID was happening, I didn't really have many concerns. But as time went on, I saw more and more cars on Ester and piling up every day. I work in Manhattan. I come home and there's a line of cars all the way to my house. So I never measured it, but it's quite a distance, as you saw in that photo. So when I come out of Ester, it's very hard to make a left. So having a bigger sign would just be terrible. So I'm hoping that gets ruled against. I am concerned because I live next door to Mazda of all the garbage, and I appreciate you showing the pictures. The garbage is unbelievable. And I was told by my neighbors that a year ago, when I moved in, they were supposed to put up a 6-foot fence. So we would appreciate it if that 6-foot fence would still go up and maybe even landscape it and maybe make it nice curb appeal, because it is really an eyesore. So we all try to keep our properties nice. We try to, keep up with the neighborhood, and that side lot of the Mazda deal is just terrible. So as far as this new signs, I vote against it because any more obstructions to our view on Mill Country Road is just going to be terrible. And if you can clean up the lot, I appreciate that also, because it's really bad. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Who's next?
My name is Maria DiMichiel. I'm at 120 Astor Avenue. I also have a concern all the parking, and then when they deliver cars, I don't think it's right that they come on Astor Avenue. Just a few months ago, they broke my cable for over 3 days. I didn't have phone, I don't have internet, and my daughter have a job that she's constantly have to be on the internet, and Every morning I get up, there is a chunk of trees on branches on the road. I don't think they should be allowed to deliver cars on Ester Avenue. And again, I can't even look out in the window. It's all I see is, it looks like a train parking lot, the train station parking lot. There's cars all over. I have a hard time when my other kids coming over with SUVs because they park so out and with big trucks that it's impossible to get in and out. So I would appreciate if something will be done. And lately we have, every time it rains, we have a flood. All the garbage, all the cigarette, everything get washed up on my property. Then we have on the weekend runners. It sometimes takes me 10 minutes just to get out of or in on my own driveway. Also from the dealers, they come and turn around all the time on my driveway. We live here since 1990, never ever been this bad. They not clean up the sides, they throw cigarette ashes. It's just not right. It doesn't look like a residential area at all.
All right.
So if something can be done, I would appreciate it. And I'm with my neighbors that we would like to have something done.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening, and I hope we're gonna get some results. And also about the fence. I mean, I never saw a commercial property putting up a fence like this. It's not right. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else would like to speak on this?
Chairman, I don't have anyone with their hands raised or anyone else who has listed their names in the chat. There was somebody who kept hitting the unmute button. I wasn't sure if they were wishing to speak. I'll wait another second.
Okay, fine.
I think we said everything we would like to say, and we just hope that someone's gonna do something about it. And I mean, just a couple of years ago, they used to give out tickets. And they said, oh, once we're done with the renovation, no car's gonna be on the road. The renovation is done a very long time ago. There is more cars than ever.
I gotta call you back. I'm working, honey.
Okay. We just want to see if there's any other people that would like to speak on this application.
Yeah.
Hi, would I be able to speak? Hello?
That's Salvatore. Salvatore,
Yes.
could you just?
Yeah, my name is Salvatore Coppola.
All right, Salvatore, could you state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record, please?
Yes. I couldn't unmute myself. I'm sorry. The girl had to do it for me.
That's quite all right.
My name is Salvatore Coppola, Salvatore Coppola. I own the restaurant on the corner, Villa Sorrento, 823 Middle Country Road, St. James. So I'm on the west corner of the Mazda dealer.
Okay.
Yes, I think that the service area on that side creates a lot of bad conditions for safety. For the neighbors and for the people going up and down. I think that the cars parked on the side of the road are making the road a little narrow so that one car or truck can't go like you normally go. You would be going one way and somebody else would be going the other way. With the cars there, you sometimes have to wait and pull over for some cars to go. As far as the signage, the large signs on the Jericho Turnpike, I think it's going to make it considerably harder, definitely to make the left out of Ester. I think it's even going to be hard to even see the restaurant as you're coming down Jericho with those signs blocking my view as you're coming down. And as one of the other neighbors said, I mean, you either know where the Mazda dealer is to buy a car or you don't. There's only one of them in the whole area around here. There could be alternate parking for the Mazda dealer. He owns the piece of property across the street he just purchased where the boat marina was, and there's ample parking there. Maybe he could put his cars there. And I think that's it. But there's a lot of activity over there and not a lot of concerns for safety and, quality of living for the neighbors behind us. I try and keep my restaurant as clean as I can, and I keep all my cars tucked in and do the best job I can, I think that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Salvatore.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that'd like to be heard in this application?
Chairman, I don't have anybody else with their hands raised or utilizing the chat function.
Okay, fine. We'll bring the applicant back.
Hi, how are you? Okay. I just wanted to, just two things I wanted to follow up with. I did take down all the neighbors' concerns. I am limited to what I can't enforce anything. Obviously, I'm just the expediter on the application, but I do want to relay everything back to make sure that it is heard properly. The fence is existing at 4 feet. And did planning mention it was supposed to be 6 feet? Did I get that correct, or was that?
No, the fence is located in the required front yard. I believe the Board of Site Plan limited the height of the fence to 4 feet. The applicant can certainly make an application to come back to the board and ask to have a 6-foot fence placed in that spot in lieu of putting up the 4-foot fence. And I don't think anybody would object to that because it would certainly help the neighbors and give a better buffer to the parking lot behind the building. But currently, I believe it's approved to be 4 feet with a substantial amount of landscaping in front of it.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I had the right information. And with regard to the parking on Ester Avenue, are there parking limitations that they're violating and they're getting parking violations, or is it there is no parking signs that they're ignoring? It's just way too much parking at all different hours.
I think that's what the neighbors are saying, yes.
It is legal to park on that road. I just want to make sure that I'm telling them what I'm hearing the right thing.
I'm sure it's legal to park on the road. I don't know that it's legal to park on the road for 8 to 10 hours a day.
So it's all day parking from early in the morning until late in the evening.
That's what it sounds like, yes.
And okay, gotcha. Okay. And the full length of, it seems, the road.
It certainly appears that way in the photos, yes.
Right.
I have a question for planning
Yes.
real quick, Blaze. When a commercial property is utilizing off-site parking, doesn't that kind of kick back to the fact that there isn't sufficient parking on the site for the use?
Usually that is the case, yes.
And how do we deal with that?
Well, I did hear a gentleman who spoke, I believe it was Mr. Coppola. He did mention that the applicant does own a parcel across the street on Middle Country Road. Perhaps he might be able to utilize some of that space to park some of his inventory and make room for his employees or whoever it is that's parking on Ester Avenue to park their cars on his lot.
I only bring it up because maybe it's something to consider when, if this was the subject of a prior variance request, and there was a request for a reduction in on-site parking, we might want to, take note of that moving forward, that's something that needs to be addressed on this specific site, because obviously if the site is being used, for dealership and there isn't enough parking, the residents really shouldn't be paying the price for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was also brought up about the car delivery, the unloading on Ester, these large trucks. One lady indicated they knocked down some wires, breaking the branches.
Yes, I noted that as well.
Got that?
And the desire for landscaping, the desire for a 6-foot fence as opposed to a 4-foot fence, the difficulty turning onto Middle Country Road due to just heavy traffic, apparently hanging on the street during breaks, making it uncomfortable for them to utilize their own driveways. and turning around in their driveways. So yes, I've noted every concern. Garbage, if there is a flood. I'm not sure exactly where that's from, but I'm noting it down that that is a concern from the neighbors. I think I've got everything.
Okay.
I do want to bring up something, Ms. Morano, I'm sorry. On the ground sign, when you were giving your presentation before, I was under the impression that you were removing the existing ground sign and replacing it, and that the subsequent 4 signs had to do more with interior directional signs. I know there's one that says sales and service. I believe there's another smaller ground sign. I wasn't aware that the one large sign of 150 square feet is going to stay, and this is going to be an additional sign. I, for one, am most likely a no vote on something like that. I just want to get your input and see if it's a possibility. I'd be much more inclined to approve an additional wall sign that kind of gave the message that they're certified pre-owned there, than to grant another ground sign, which kind of obstructs vision and really clutters that artery along Jericho right there. On the chance that this application does not get approved, is that something your client would consider?
I am sure that that would be a consideration. I could absolutely propose that. I don't have any specifications, there's no backup plan at this point, so that they would just have to go back to the drawing board and make that application if that's where this leads us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the suggestion.
All right then. Could I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second. Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18513, James Wojnowski, 19 Dartmouth Drive, Smithtown. The location of the property, the south side of Dartmouth Drive, 412 feet west of Penn Drive. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the total side yards from 28 feet to 26 feet for an existing 2-story single-family dwelling.
Could I have the applicant, please?
Yes, I'm right here.
Who's that?
James Wojnowski.
Oh, okay. Are you going to present the case, sir?
Yes, this is Lou Castellano, my builder.
Oh, he's going to present the case for you.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, Lou, could you introduce yourself, spell your last name, and give the address, please?
Louis Castellano, Castellano, 2701 Middle Country Road, Lake Grove, New York.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We built a house for Jim's family, and we had it on the construction survey, and we were approved. And we believe we built the house inside the building envelope. When we got our final survey, it was 14.8 on one side and 12 on the other. So we're short about 1 foot 2 inches, not 2 feet. I believe when they measured it from the foundation, they will probably pick up a couple inches. When they measured from the siding, we lost a couple inches. So we believe that the variance is minimal. We did do two as-built, which were approved by the engineering department, and we believe we were inside the building envelope, but we kept going and we got our approvals. Then here we are. We went to go get a CO. We found out we were short some inches, so that's why we're in front of you. We don't feel there's any adverse effect on the neighborhood. The house is a brand new house. The original house burnt down. This house is a beautiful addition to the neighborhood, and they want to move in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone on the board that has any questions on this application?
No, thanks.
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
No, Chairman.
No. Okay, with that said, could I have a motion to close the application, please?
Moved.
Second. Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Bye. You're done. Cool. 5-0. You're good. Okay. Now you can go home.
Tomorrow.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18389, A.J. Richard and Sons, Inc., 50 Ashley Circle, Comac. The location of the property, the west side of Ashley Circle, 1,816 feet south of Harnett Road. The property is zoned R6. The applicant is requesting variances to permit a deck to be enclosed by any sort of wall, a railing height of 42 inches, to permit a deck to be more than 10 feet from the rear of a dwelling unit to 18 feet, to reduce the setback from lot lines from 3 feet to 0, to permit a deck to be more than 18 inches above grade for the repair and or replacement of an existing 450 square foot deck.
Could I have the applicant, please?
Yes, Phil Pasilico here representing AJ Richard and Son. I also have my architect on, Jim Tavares, who will be supporting me.
Have you submitted all the necessary paperwork, the power of attorney?
Yes.
You did? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
All right, Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, so just to provide a little background, about going back to September, we were asked to modify the deck to meet the standards of the homeowner association in regard to the railing height. In doing so, it was found that there was never a permit filed for the existence of the deck, which is going back to, I believe, 1986, which predates the necessity to have a permit for the structure. In going back, trying to rectify that situation, it was found that we were, in fact, beyond our plot lines onto the common ground area of the condo association. And so we are looking to now modify the deck's dimensions to exist on our property alone. And then, of course, we'll need a variance because, as you read, we are more than 10 feet from the back of the building. And that's pretty much where we stand from there. I'll let Jim take over to go into the details a bit of everything going on.
Okay. Hello, Chairman. My name is Jim Tavares. I'm with JT Consulting Services.
Jim, can you spell your last name and give the address, please?
Sure. TSA, V as in Victor, ERAS.
Okay. And your address?
Is 4 Notting Hill Drive, Massapequa, New York, 11758.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so what we wanted to explain here is this deck has been in there for 35 years. It was built over into a common area at the time that all of the other properties were built in that housing complex at the Smithtown HOA. What wasn't realized at the time that they did this, that this one particular unit doesn't have that same distance of the property line as the other units that are there, and it's actually 12 and a half feet instead of 18 feet. So it's a little bit shorter, but it was constructed back in 1986. There was no permits or anything at that time. The builders went through and did all of these decks, and everyone else later on got them permitted, but this one was never permitted. I think they did a whole lump sum of all of the ones on the property, but for some reason this one was not. So in AJ Richards trying to repair this deck, the housing authority said, well, it's not permanent, you got to go to the town. So we sent in drawings, and then we found the discrepancy about the distance on the depth of the property. And also we had Nelson Pope come out and do a survey, an updated survey to locate it where it was sliding it along the building line to know exactly how far it was from the property line. So we put all that together, and we want to modify the existing one to use that 12.5-foot distance, because anything shorter than that, the deck is really not going to be useful. And it blends in with all the other the design of it and the way it looks designs in with all the other decks that are attached to the backs of these properties of all of these units. So it's not going to be something that's going to be, detrimental or something that somebody's going to pick up and say, oh, that's an eyesore. It's been there for 35 years. Nobody said anything about it. We just uncovered this through them telling us to get a permit to fix the deck. Some boards need to be replaced and all. And one thing led to another, and that's how we wound up making it to your hearing tonight.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone on the board that has any questions on this application?
No, thank
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to be heard on this application?
Chairman, there was one individual who had unmuted themselves before. I don't know if it was an accident. I'll send them a unmute request just to make sure, but I do not have anyone else who wishes to be heard on this application.
Okay.
And no, it does not look like they wish to be heard.
No? Okay then. Thank you, Nicole. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second. Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0. Thank you, gentlemen, and good night.
Good night, Mr. Chairman and board.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18497, Jennifer Greenspan, 14 Dalewood Lane, Kings Park. The location of the property is the south side of Dalewood Lane, 486 feet west of Ravenwood Drive. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum side yard from 12 feet to 7 feet, to reduce the total side yards from 28 feet to 23 feet, for a proposed 16-foot by 34-foot in-ground swimming pool.
Could I have the applicant, please?
Hi, I'm Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Good.
Are you going to present this yourself?
No, I'm going to turn it over to Adam Krinsky.
Okay, fine. Adam, you there?
I am here. Could you hear me?
Okay. Could you state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record, please?
Yes, Adam Krinsky, Krinsky, 169 Comac Road, Comac.
Fine. Thank you.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. We are requesting permission to move. Basically, we're moving the swimming pool closer to the house to stay away from, number one would be power lines. There are power lines on the on that property line, that back fence. Also, just based on the shape of the property and the topography of the property, that last several feet really dip down. So to avoid needing retaining walls, or I don't know if you have the photos that I submitted, but it really droops down. So it should be the next one. Yeah, if you could see, and maybe even the next photo. Yeah, you can see it really goes down, and the power wires are there as well. So we got to stay away from that. So the pool's forward towards the house a little bit more. This doesn't pose any detriment or adverse effect to the neighborhood or any environment or anything like that. It's just, I believe we're asking for like 5 feet, please.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Is there anyone on the board that's any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that likes to be heard on this application?
Chairman, I do not have anyone in the audience with their hands raised or in the chat function.
Okay, fine. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second. Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our hearing for tonight.